All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about one of the most critical, but honestly, most overlooked parts of any business. It's intellectual property. You can think of it as the invisible engine that can drive incredible value, and we're going to break down exactly what that means and why you need to protect it.
So let me ask you something. When you think about your business or your art or your brand, what's the most valuable part? Is it the physical stuff, like your building or your computer? Or is it the brand name you've spent years building? That one-of-a-kind process you developed, the song you wrote? Yeah, those intangible things are often the most valuable assets you have.
And that's exactly what intellectual property, or IP, is. It's an intangible asset, sure, but it's a real piece of property. It belongs to your business just as much as the desk you're sitting at. It's not just some fuzzy idea floating around, it's a recognized asset with serious, real-world value.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break down the four main types of IP. That's copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, and patents. And then we'll get to the really good part. Why protecting them is one of the smartest business moves you can possibly make.
Okay, let's dive in with our first category, copyrights. This is all about giving the creators of original stuff, artists, writers, musicians, control over their work. Now, what's so wild about copyright is that the second you create something, the moment you paint that picture or write that line of code, boom, you have what's called a common law copyright. You literally have the right to copy. But, and this is a big but, to get the really strong protection, the kind that lets you go after infringers for serious damages, you've got to register it officially with the U.S. Copyright Office. And this protection, it's built to last. A copyright covers the entire lifetime of the person who created it, plus another 70 years after they die. I mean, that means a single creative work can be a protected, valuable asset for a very, very long time.
You've probably heard of this trick, right? The poor man's copyright, where you mail a copy of your work to yourself to prove when you created it. Well, let's just be crystal clear. That is a total myth. The source material doesn't pull any punches, calling it complete garbage and totally useless. It has no legal weight. Official registration is the only thing that actually matters in a dispute.
All right, next up, trademarks. Now, if copyright protects the creative thing itself, a trademark protects your brand identity. It's the names, the logos, the symbols that tell your customers, hey, this came from me. And just like copyrights, you get some automatic common law rights as soon as you start using a trademark in your area. But those rights are pretty limited, just to your geographic location. If you want powerful, nationwide protection that stops a competitor on the other side of the country from using a similar name, you absolutely have to register it with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And this illustrates the difference perfectly. Let's talk about a band. A copyright protects the lyrics of their song. That's the creative expression. A trademark, on the other hand, protects the band's logo, the symbol that lets you know who made that music. They're two totally different things, even though they relate to the same band.
So here's the kicker. Unlike a copyright, which eventually expires, a trademark can last, well, forever. As long as you keep using it in your business and you file the renewals every 10 years, that brand protection never has to end.
Okay, let's shift gears to something completely different. Trade secrets. This type of IP has nothing to do with public registration. In fact, its entire power comes from keeping valuable information a secret.
We're actually surrounded by trade secrets. The legendary formula for Coca-Cola or KFC's 11 herbs and spices, those are world-famous trade secrets. But it could also be something in your own business, like your curated customer list, a super efficient internal process, or that complex pricing algorithm you built. Now, for something to legally count as a trade secret, it has to check these three boxes. 1, it has to give you a real economic edge. 2, it can't be something that everybody knows. And 3, this is the big one, you, the owner, have to be taking active, reasonable steps to keep it under wraps. That means using things like non-disclosure agreements or NDAs and controlling who gets to see the information.
And that brings us to our fourth and final category, patents. Now, patents are a whole different animal. Unlike the other types of IP we've talked about, patents are all about protecting new inventions.
A patent gives an inventor the exclusive right to make, use, and sell their invention for a period of time. But here's the most important difference. There is no such thing as a common law patent. 0. Protection only exists once a patent has been officially granted by the USPTO. And you can get patents for how an invention works, that's a utility patent, or for how it looks, that's a design patent.
Okay, so we've covered the what, but now let's get to the most important question, the why. Why does going through the trouble of protecting all this stuff actually matter to your bottom line? This is the payoff.
And this visual says it all, doesn't it? Protecting your intellectual property isn't just about playing defense to stop people from copying you. It's an offensive move that can dramatically increase the monetary value of your entire business. For so many modern companies, their intangible assets, with IP right at the core, are worth far more than all their physical stuff combined. In many ways, the IP is the business. Just think about all the major moments in a business's life. Are you trying to get a loan? Attract serious investors? Or maybe one day you want to sell your company for top dollar. In all of those scenarios, having properly registered and protected IP is absolutely critical. It's also the very thing you're selling when you license your products. Without that protection, the value just isn't there.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about for your own projects. After everything you've talked about, from your brand name to your creative work to your secret sauce, which of your invisible assets are you currently leaving on the table totally unprotected?